All right, here we go.
All right, we're already live.
Oh, we are? Okay, great. Then perfect. Doesn't matter.
Hello, and welcome to Husky Huddle. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. And with me, as always, my cohort and co-host and partner in crime, the next greatest influencer, over 1.2 million subscribers on the Coach Schuman Sports and Entertainment YouTube channel. Smash that subscribe button, Coach Schuman. And our very special guest, he was on the UConn team that went to the Fiesta Bowl. He was also part of the only time in UConn football history that had two 1,000-yard rushers in the same season, him and Andre Dixon, Mr. Jordan Todman. Jordan, a pleasure.
Man,
Jordan was on Jordan was on Husky Talk with us, and we had to get him on Husky Huddle because this is one of the last times that UConn has won 8 games, potentially 9. His team, I think, won 8 games. You guys were you 8-4 going to the Fiesta Bowl?
I'm not sure. I wouldn't be able to remember, but it had to be up there. We have to look that one up.
Yeah, you won the Big East. I think you were 8-4, and you were in the Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma. So that's why it's important, because this is the first 8-win team since 2010, and it was just announced that we are going to the Fenway Bowl. We were going to be at Fenway December 28th at 11 a.m. But we're going nonetheless. For all the pundits who picked UConn to finish with 2, maybe 3 wins, this has been a remarkable turnaround. And Jordan, I know you've been following the team, and it's been kind of up and down, but to win 8 games without like real consistency at the quarterback position, that's pretty remarkable.
I totally agree with you, Steve. First of all, no wins are handed to you. No team's going to lie down and give it to you. So when you can go out there and stack up any season and get 8 wins, become bowl eligible, it's good, right? It's congratulations for you and your teammate, and showcase the work that you put in, and those are the kind of results you'll get. Yeah,
and people don't realize, Dave, Jordan was only there a short amount of time, because he declared for the draft early. So it was it 08, 09, and 010 and 2010? Were those the 3 years?
Yeah, I went from so I graduated high school in 08, and then I was in the draft of 2011. So 2 years, 2 years, and then 1 season. So after the Fiesta Bowl in Oklahoma, there in Arizona, I didn't fly back with the team.
I remember.
Started meeting with so it was still was a great experience, and man, I loved every bit of it.
It was just it had to have been such a whirlwind to go from winning the Big East, and then like when you're making that type of decision, who did you sit down with and talk with the most about, okay, should I take a leap of faith? Should I go to the NFL, or should I stay in college for another year?
You talk to obviously your family. You definitely want to talk to coaches and mentors, people that you can lean on. I definitely talked to my coaches, like I said, whether it was Coach Richardson, T. Rich, Coach Etzel himself, my guardian, my dad, my mom, and just then you also want to look at who you are, right? Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. What does your numbers look like compared to those guys? And then trusting, what type of numbers will you be able to put on at the NFL Combine, right? Because that's going to tell a lot for you, right? So that opportunity to do that. And with all that, you put all your pros together, you have your negatives on the side, you make a decision with the leap of faith, and just most importantly, trusting in yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Dave, it's amazing. Like, he played a good 8-9 years in the NFL, and for a running back, that's like a century. That's like living to be 100. to play that long.
Not as common no more.
No, it's not. It's not. They move on from the position so fast, and it's so essential. And that's why, Dave and I were talking about Saquon Barkley, and I was furious when I saw the Hard Knocks and the Giants just letting him go. And they didn't seem to care. They didn't realize how important he was to the team. And just what is your overall thought on why some general managers or front office personnel, even coaches, have have undervalued the running back position?
Yeah, that's a tough question. So I'm not sure why they do it, but I guess my guess is going to be it's became a passing league, right? Guys like Tom Brady, guys like Patrick Mahomes, those guys are the face of the NFL. Okay, so the deep passes, the Justin Jeffersons, those type of receivers, the fans, the fantasy people, the guys in the stands, they go crazy, right? When they're thinking fantasy football. And those fans, their first pick, they're not grabbing the running back. Most likely, they're going to look for the quarterback or the receiver. If I'm just guessing, right? So, it's huge there as far as being able to stretch the field that way, and then the running game it works co in hand. So you need both. I would say that for that play action to even be set up, and just keeping it in manageable downs, right? Down and distance. So I'm a fan of running on first down. I'll throw it out there, but when you can get into, you don't want to be caught in them 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, situations. So I think it's important to have the run game, but why they abandon it, I think it's the big play aspect, and the ability to have these quick screens nowadays are now equivalent to a run game. So they're going to sling it around.
It's also interesting that it's coming back because you see the Lions and how much they're running the ball, the Detroit Lions, and how much success they're having, literally dominating. Because, as you know, like, defenses try to match the personnel that the offenses have, right? So if they're trying to match passing personnel, they don't have guys that could stop the run as much. And now you go and run the ball at them, and they don't have that personnel, on the roster, and you could have success. So now, I think football is so interesting how it kind of just goes around in cycles, one trend to the next. And it kind of guys are constantly trying to figure out. It's interesting because I saw what you looked up what you ran at the combine. You ran 4.50, and you had his numbers were sick. 10.6.
No. Wait, hold on. 4.36. 4.36.
4.36.
Yeah.
Oh, so wait, what do they have?
At the NFL Combine, I ran a 4.36 hand time, unofficial at the NFL Combine, 4.4.
Right.
I had the best broad jump. I forget what it was. And then a couple of good shuttles, and I benched. I think I did 225 25 times.
Yeah, it has that.
But
it has 10.6, right?
Yeah, 10.8, 10.8 or something, or 10. It was the best. But what you guys don't know is I turned 21 at the NFL Combine. So the day I ran my 40 was my 21st birthday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was.
Not the traditional 21st birthday where you were able to go out and celebrate.
No, hey, honestly, I'll take that. You're right. That is true. But I'll take that anniversary. I'll take that, birthday celebration because a step closer to my dream. So
that's right.
That was worth it. That was worth it. You know what I mean? So,
no, there's no doubt about it. And you crushed it as a returner in the NFL. Like, literally, I mean, is that what like they kept? Because they use you obviously in the run game, but they really use you in the kicking game a ton. Is that what really
he played special teams? Yeah, I mean, he did a great job.
Yes, I did. So my best way of putting it is, like I just said, so I was 21, true junior in the NFL now, right? So you're young, probably weigh 203, and back then, in 2011, 2012, it's obviously a contact game, and I was still a tough back. But in the league, I feel like they wanted bigger backs. And being young, I felt like teams wanted to take a year and let me develop, right? Take my rookie year in the NFL equivalent to a redshirt situation. Me being so eager and hungry, I truly wanted to play. So now there's the number game of the NFL, right? 48 people dressed, 53 men on the roster. So if you're not starting running back, you're not a defensive player, because right now I'm not Trevor Hunter. I'm not playing both ways. So you put the 2 and 2 together alone, right? So 22. Now you got, putting out there, everybody got 1s and 2s, right? So 44 of those players are now traveling. Then you got the kickers and punters. You have to have an ability. So I'm telling you, when you're not the starter in the NFL as a running back, you got to have special teams value. So kick returning, playing gunner, kickoff. You want to be able to travel. You want to dress. You want to contribute to the wins. So, yeah, I became a special teams guy, and I took advantage of every opportunity I could.
No doubt. Fantastic career, dude. And that's why it lasted so long, too. I mean, which is amazing. Absolutely.
Well, and the other thing, like he didn't get like long-term 3-4 year contracts. He was going like year to year and getting signed and jumping from teams. And like, that's got to be so stressful to not have that security and know that like one bad practice. I've been in that situation. You have bad practice, you have a bad game, you could be on a plane out of there the next day.
No, absolutely. Definitely, I think, especially early in my career, a lot of it was my decision, right? It wasn't like I was just stuck at home and people were picking me up, right? So I made the 53-man roster, and then the eagerness to play, right? Now I get an injury, I'm on practice squad, but I'm getting paid active. I'm jumping to this team because I want to play. I want an opportunity. I want to do that. But it was definitely stressful, at times, knowing you come into a room and there's 90 players, right? Every camp comes in with 90 players, and 37 are going to get fired or cut, right? 37 are going to go home. Yeah, 37 are going home without a job no matter what, right? So you're building those relationships and bonds with those guys, knowing you're competing for a job to feed your family. So, but at the end of the day, it's the NFL. It's the best of the best. The NFL stands for not for long, but it honestly makes a dog out you, right? The big dogs are going to survive, and you better just keep adding value. Yeah.
What do you think of UConn as far as the running back situation? Because they basically have a 3-headed monster with Cam, Durrell, and Mel Brown. Do you think they utilize them well, or do you think they go with the hot hand? Because at times it doesn't seem like they necessarily have a plan for a rotation for a series for series. It seems like they go with whoever is on fire that day.
Yeah. It's working for them, if we're going to be honest, right? Both of them. So it's a 3-headed monster. It works. I think the pros of the situation, I think it's durability, right? When you get late into these games, bowl game situation, not one particular guy was taking a crazy pounding and all these type of carries. So legs are kind of fresh, less chance of injury, I would say there. But the running back role, and I think I can speak for all three of them, it's tough to want to give that rock up, right? You're feeling good. Maybe you had a good run and you got 3 or 4 or 5 of them, and then now you don't touch the ball for X amount, of reps. That's just kind of part of the game, but it's working for them. And, so if it's not I got a simple saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So stick with it if that's the case. But if I'm one of the running backs, obviously unselfish, of course, I shared with Donald Brown at times. I shared it with Dixon. I truly understand it. But I would have a feeling that the 3-headed monster at times probably wants to get fed a little more.
Now, Dave, do you think Bill Belichick seriously has an interest in the North Carolina job? Do you think that he would actually take that job and go to the college level?
Yeah, I do. I mean,
or you think he's you don't think he's using it for leverage?
What's that?
Well, I would maybe using it for leverage for the NFL to come back.
That's possible because you're not going to have a lot of the NFL coaches get hired or fired for a little bit more time, other than some that are get fired in season. But listen, the college programs can pay as much as the NFL.
They do, yeah.
So it depends on what you're looking for. It seems like he's interested in getting his son in a situation where he can follow up and become the head coach, because he asked in the interview, one of the things he was trying to negotiate is that his son would be the coach in waiting. So, and his son coaches in college right now.
Washington, correct?
Right, at Washington. So, so that and they may programs may not feel he's quite ready yet to be a head coach. So this would be kind of a bridge, and UNC gets obviously, maybe the best NFL coach of all time. As the head coach of their program. He then brings his son along, and his son takes over the program. That's what I think Belichick's objective is. Now, I don't know if UNC that's what they want, but I think that's what Belichick's interest and objective is. He can develop the program at UNC. You're going to pay him a boatload of money to do so. He could develop his son to be ready to take over that job. And then it get passed off. That's the only thing to me that would make sense for you to take on another guy that's an older coach. Otherwise your program's going to be set back when Bill Belichick retires in a few years again, right? He goes and does this, then retires in a few years, and you're left in a similar situation again. So the only thing that would make sense to me would be that's what the kind of thought process is. They're going to do this. Gives his son time to continue to develop as a leader, and then he takes over. Now, whether that is successful or not, I have no idea. But that's kind of, I think, the thought process. And I think that's why he probably is seriously considering it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, like Jordan, the only thing that
I'm just trying to help you.
That would confuse me is Belichick. Don't you think he would want to win? He could become the winningest coach in NFL history. I don't remember for sure how many wins away he is, but I mean, it's doable within a season or two. Do you think he would give that up to take a college job just to make sure that his son is set?
That's a great question, but I honestly think that he doesn't seem to come off as like a show-off guy or a guy that's out there chasing achievements, right? He's got great rings.
No.
His legacy speaks for itself. He's probably like, what do I got to prove to these people? I don't think that. Now, on the other hand of preparing your son to take over and take the crown when you leave out of school, I could see that, what Dave said, being more likely a scenario to probably happen. But I think he still loves the game, right? You'll see him on TV talking about it and commentating. But we all know he really wants to get back in the lab and stop breaking down film, game planning, and get back into the coaching. It's just a matter of time of what the right opportunity, coming right across his table. He'll probably take it.
Now, Dave, I was looking at North Carolina, and I know they had lost Drake May, obviously, and they were looking for an identity with a quarterback, and they had similar numbers to us as far as passing. I mean, they had 2,800 yards total between three quarterbacks. We had right around 2,600 between two quarterbacks. So there's a lot of similarity there. And then, the touchdowns, we had 23 touchdowns. They had 29. They only had 17 total passing touchdowns. But they also gave up 29 sacks during the year, which is something I think we could definitely expose with the way our defense has played all year.
What's the question?
The quarterback situation is my question.
You think we can exploit it? You mean?
Well, they're similar to us in the fact that they shuffled through three quarterbacks. They haven't produced incredible numbers. 17 touchdowns for a 12-game season isn't incredible. They've thrown a lot of interceptions. They've thrown 10 interceptions, and they've given up 29 sacks. The one thing that we have done, at least, We haven't had the greatest quarterback play, but we've only given up 12 sacks on the year overall, which I think gives us a big advantage. We at least protect the quarterback.
Yeah, so I think that
and do you go with Joe Figliano as your starter into this game?
Yeah, first, like the North Carolina's team, UConn has an opportunity to take advantage, obviously, in that they're in transition, right? So that's an opportunity. Obviously, they have an interim coach, and that's more than likely not going to be there after the season. And a lot of the players, some of the players, in today's college football, might be playing for a portal opportunity. You know what I mean, down the line.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing, because
I think the ones that are good that are gonna go into portal are probably gonna jump in before.
Exactly. Yeah. Before the game,
will be depleted for the most part. So that'll give UConn opportunity there. The other thing is that I think Fignano, I don't know how you say it, but Fignano, he probably presents the best near-term opportunity for UConn to be successful in this game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a senior. He's shown he's gotten the opportunity that he can do the job. His numbers reflect that. They've won some good games, and they've been tough in some of the other games. And it seems to be, to me, that the running backs and wide receivers respond very well when he's in. So I don't know if that has anything to do with him as the quarterback, as a leader, or the fact that he's kind of more of a distributor of the ball. I just know that, and I mentioned this before, with a dual threat quarterback, and this is why I think in the offseason, Evers really has to work to improve his passing game. With a dual threat quarterback, receivers are running a lot of routes, and not a lot of balls are going to come their ways. And running backs don't get as many opportunities with the dual threat quarterback. So I think it's natural for a running back to be able to be a little more excited in the game, or a receiver to be a little more excited when a pocket passer who can deliver the ball comes into the game. So I think that's kind of been the response. Now that if Nick Evers becomes down the line a fantastic dual threat, yeah, I mean, absolutely. If the quarterback is as good a runner as the running backs, nobody has an issue with it. But when the quarterback is not quite as good a runner as the running backs, and you could speak to this better than me, Jordan, your thought process is, hey, give me the ball. I'm going to have more opportunity, gain more yards for the team than the quarterback running, and use the quarterback running game more as almost like a bootleg type of situation where they're not expecting it. But, that was always the issue, I think, with a dual threat quarterback. If the dual threat quarterback, if he's a runner, is not as good as the running backs, you're better off handing the ball to the running backs.
Correct.
The majority of the time, and throwing the ball to the receivers. That's kind of my thought process. And I think that's what you're seeing with UConn. And I think that's helping Fignano be more successful.
Yeah, that's the only thing when I see Joe out there, whenever he hands the ball off, they just get so much pursuit from the backside because they know that he's not a threat to run. At least if you have someone who's a threat to pull it down and run for a few yards, that will hold the backside from pursuit. And that's why I think they had success when they went more in the pistol, even though I don't love the pistol. They got in the pistol, they ran a little bit more downhill, and I think that's why they gained the yards that they did. And it was a good adjustment that the offensive coordinator made, even though I said that he needed to be on Ozempic. But still, I think that without the running game, it's going to be very tough sledding because North Carolina has a very good running back. Hampton has 1,660 yards rushing, and that is incredible. And that's going to be tough for UConn to stop, because they really haven't faced a team that ran the ball as well as North Carolina has run the ball all year. But Jordan, I wanted to ask you, as a running back, do you like being in like the pistol or the home position right behind the quarterback, or do you like being offset in the gun?
Me particular, as the ball carrier,
Yeah.
I prefer to be on the side, right? I think the
You do.
side gun just gives you more options as a ball carrier, whether you want to keep it front side, whether you want to roll it back, whether you want to bounce the run. I think when it's pistol, right, you're aligned 2 to 3 yards behind the quarterback. The linebackers get a different read on the run action, and so do the safeties, right? The quarterback usually has to turn his side, right? So now the ball's shown, and it's real obvious which way you're going, right? So in play action, I think the pistol run works great, right? It's the ball's the cheese, or it's the tennis ball, and the linebackers are the dogs. As soon as they see it, they're gonna chase it, right? So you sell it with the pistol for play action, awesome. But for me, I prefer sidecar if I'm carrying the rock. Yes.
I would agree with that. Out of the gun, the only reason I liked the pistol with us is because I thought our base play was outside zone. We tried to run outside zone with 2 tailbacks out of the gun, and we just got way too much penetration. We got way too much flow from the backside, and the backs really struggled to either get to the corner or stick a foot and get to the edge. Yeah.
And
so that's why.
And I agree with you. And I think, and that's why when it gets to play calling, you got to, call what fits your team best, right? You mentioned if you were getting caught from the backside or any type of pressure or leakage on the inside, I could truly make sense why you would line up in pistol for that outside zone. Yes, the running back is closer to getting to the edge, and if he has to make his decision, it'll be out there, less chance of getting caught from the back. So I think that if they're doing it, it fits their scheme better, if that makes sense.
But I mean, if I'm correct, when you were there, did you have 2 offensive coordinators? Was Foley the offensive coordinator and then Moorhead?
No, so I had Ambrose. Rob
was there.
Rob Ambrose my freshman year. And
Rob was there. That's
Tyler Horenzen, DJ Hernandez were the 2 quarterbacks that year. And then we had Coach Moorhead.
And Foley was a line coach. So
Foley was a great recruiting coach and a great offensive line coach. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That makes sense then, because I was looking at some of their team stats, and I mean they do score. I mean they score 33 points a game. They average 400 they average close to 400 yards a game. So offensively, I mean they haven't struggled as much as they have defensively, but finishing 6-6 was obviously a disappointment. I don't know if they were ranked going into the season. Dave, did you know if they happened to be ranked going in?
I would assume UNC probably was ranked going in because they had a very good year the year before. I could find that out in probably 2 seconds. But they won their first 3. They lost to James Madison, but James Madison is good. They lost to James Madison 70-50. They lost to Duke 21-20. We almost beat Duke as well. They lost to Pitt. They lost to Georgia Tech. And then they had a 3-game winning streak where they beat Virginia, Florida State, and Wake. They were not ranked. They were 32.
Okay.
So they weren't ranked in the top 25 to start.
And then, they finished by losing to BC and NC State. So, I mean, for us, this would be huge to beat a Power 4 team, even a middle of the road one, because they played some teams tough, and having 9-4, like Jordan said, it's not easy to win football games. Nobody lays down for you. If you go 9-4, And with the basketball team taking care of business, that is where we have a chance to get into a conference, and that'll turn things around. Because, going over the model that we have financially, we need that money. We need that television revenue that teams are going to be able to start spending this year. So on top of everything, the NIL, they get television revenue, which we don't have, which puts us way behind the 8 ball. So it's imperative these next 2 years that we get into a conference. And I think this game could go a long way to doing that, showing that we can play in the ACC. We played Duke tough. We played Wake tough. And then if we can get a victory against North Carolina, that could definitely make a difference. But, I mean, Dave, do you think that could put us over the edge, as long as basketball takes care of business and continues to have success?
Getting into a conference?
Yeah.
I mean, I think every win we get is going to help us get into a conference.
For sure.
I mean, I think that's a big deal. There's multiple factors, but
yes,
I'm sure TV is being looked at, like what we would bring ratings wise to TV. But I think that obviously basketball is a big contributor, but football is the driver for all of these big conferences. So they're going to look at, what do we draw television wise when we've been on. I think they're going to look on what potential revenue we could bring to the table from that standpoint. Obviously, winning is important, but I think some of those other aspects are going to be as important as well. A lot of so I don't know about the ACC because obviously they're up and down the East Coast, but like a Big 12, the only Northeast presence they have is West Virginia, and that's not West Virginia itself. Obviously, has a great history of football. But as far as from a television rating standpoint, nationally, you're going to get, I think, better views from a UConn than you would from a West Virginia. So, and I think those
all across the board for sure.
Where we're located, right? So that's a big deal.
No, I definitely agree. Jordan, down there in Florida, especially, I mean, we have pretty good name value. I mean, people know who we are. People watch us. And we actually got a lot of kids from Florida that ended up coming up this way. Do you think that we have a pretty good presence in Florida, and we can recruit Florida and still make a difference there if we have enough NIL money?
Absolutely. Let's be honest, with the right NIL money and the facilities that we already have with the family, Burton family, what they've been able to do, donate and give to us. I feel like, of course, you can recruit the best, players to get there. Now it's building those relationships with those players. And like you said, that NIL, now, money talks when you get into the recruiting conversation, right? It's going to be tough for you to leave that 4-star and that 5-star recruit's house without that money conversation even coming up, right? So obviously the more the merrier, right? Put you in a better situation to keep getting the top prospects and scouts and to compete at the highest level. And then now you can almost guarantee, an opportunity to get those TV deals and get into a nice conference.
Yeah, Dave, I mean, looking at this, it really is a pretty good matchup for us, because even the receivers, their top receiver only had 34 receptions this year. They had 38, 34, 19, and 24. So it's comparable to what we have. And the running game, they just had one back. I mean, they had the one back that had 1,600 yards. We had 3 backs. So, I mean, we outrushed them total yardage wise, but they just had one back that had the 1,600 yards. He averaged 6 yards a carry and 15 touchdowns. Hampton really was their entire offense. So I think if we obviously neutralize the run, which has been our strong point, teams have not run the ball on us very well all year. I think that'll make the difference, because their passing game is what's suspect. They give up sacks and they turn the ball over. So I think Coach Brock will recognize that and have a pretty good scheme going in. Do you think that he makes a lot of changes as far as the fronts and the blitzes and the coverages that he shows against North Carolina?
Are you asking me? You're asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Well, I think the big thing is the area that we're slightly weak is a little bit of speed in the secondary, and the fact that they don't throw that well is going to play into our hands. So I think that if he can really focus on stopping the run, I think we're going to have a good opportunity. He's probably going to get after him because
29 sacks, yeah.
If they don't throw the ball that well, look, we had a hard time defensively with a team like Syracuse, who could throw the ball over yard. Obviously, they have a great quarterback.
Well, Rondé Getz and
right. There are just some matchup issues where I think we're not quite there yet. As far listen, our top corner is probably a freshman, so
right.
we're not quite there yet, experience wise and speed wise. I think as far as stopping the run game, I think we are pretty close. So we're really doing very well there. So I think that we'll have this team does play into our hands from that standpoint. So we could probably get after them a little more, look to stop the run game, get another person in the box, and don't have to worry about as much. And I don't know, maybe they come out and throw a ball over the yard. I have no idea. But, statistically, it looks like that it's a better fit for us in this game from that standpoint. Someone's not just going to come out and throw the ball over the yard.
Yeah, Jordan, I mean, do you think the same thing, that we play the run pretty well? And, we've obviously had our struggles in the passing game. The teams that can throw the ball have thrown on us. I mean, Kyle McCord had 400 and some yards on us. But if we take control of this game, we don't play from behind. If we can get a lead early and lean on the time of possession, run the ball, control field position, just like Coach Edsel used to love to do, that'll make the biggest difference.
I do agree. I think this game obviously is going to be one up front with those trenches, right? Being able to control that offensive line and the defensive line. So being able to stop their run, obviously put them in situations that constantly get the ball in our hands, three and out type of situations. It's on film, right? Numbers don't lie. They haven't been great in the past game. So hopefully that works in our favor. And then for us, we're able to run the ball with those three backs. Hopefully we can do that as well and find ways to put points on the board. Before my phone actually, got out of there, Dave mentioned some points. With the interim head coach being there, the morale of the players has a lot to do with this game, right? You can have the best game plan drawn up, but if the players are mentally checked out because they're checked out, or they're already thinking about their next destination because they're in the portal, or whatever it may be, right? Those are going to be that's also going to be a huge deciding factor on which way this game goes.
Yeah, it was definitely looking at it more and more. It really is a good matchup for us.
Yeah.
I don't know how cold it will be. Jordan, what do you think the temperature is going to be on December 28th at Fenway Park?
Too cold for me. That's what I'll tell you. There's a reason why I retired and built a house in Florida.
He did.
It's because I don't miss shoveling snow and freezing when I'm pumping the gas. I don't miss that no more. But I will say it's probably going to be maybe 30. What's the weather there right now? Curiosity.
Oh, it's cold right now. It's in the high 30s, low 40s right now.
If I do go to the game, let's hope I'm in a suite, because I don't plan on being outside freezing my butt off.
We'll get a nice suite for everyone.
Yeah.
Wow, that is crazy. I was also looking at this too. They have just been so streaky, which is strange. Win 3, lose 4, win 3, lose 2. Dave, why do you think they would be streaky like this? because teams usually get on a roll and stay on a roll, but they get on a roll and then they get off it and they really get off it. And that's something that you usually don't see. You usually see win, loss, 2 wins, a loss. They've seen like they have either won 2 in a row or lost 2 in a row. It's never been anything different than that, which I thought was very unusual.
I mean, a lot of it is just schedule too. I mean, it depends on who you play.
Yeah.
You know, especially in college football more than anything. Like the NFL, I think is much more of a game where there's momentum. You're rolling, guys that are healthy or hurt or whatever. That's going to dictate a little bit what kind of streaks you go on or don't go on. College football, your schedule can dictate that a lot. So who you play is kind of a big deal, and where your team is at certain points is a big deal, So, I mean, I'm looking at their schedule.
Yeah, I was looking at it too. They played Minnesota and Charlotte.
They won. It looks like they won when they played the bad teams, and they lost when they played the good teams. Pretty. I mean, pretty simply put, right? Like, I think that's, and I don't know why I keep freezing over and over again, but it's.
But you got a smile on your face. That's all that counts.
At least I'm gonna have a smile on my face when I'm freezing. That's good. I can leave that one as there. But yeah, I think that's the. I think that's really what it comes down to. They're a team that's a middle of the road team, and they're winning games when they're teams that they're better than, and are losing to teams that they're not as good as, and because they're not really a team that's on the verge of being a really good team, and they're not on the verge of being a bad team. So that's kind of who this team is. So. I'm curious to see how we play against this team. That will tell us whether we are actually a very good team. If we beat them, I think that this game, if we win this game, I'm like, okay, we're a very good team. If we lose this game, our record may not indicate how good we are or aren't. I think it's, Jordan talked about this too. I think it's an important game for us if we're going to continue to make our case for a conference. This would be a conference we potentially could be in. So we beat an ACC team. Teams in the ACC are the Big 12. They look at it like, hey, this team could come in and play right away, and there's not going to be blowouts or anything like that, which I think is what I think we're probably right now, if we were to ask them just off their schedule, part of the concern would be, okay, our schedule wasn't super strong. We didn't beat any of the teams that were kind of in the bigger conferences. We beat all the group of 5 teams, the smaller programs. That's what we need to do. We need to beat an ACC team.
Jordan, I just wanted to get your thoughts. Overall, what did you think of the playoffs and the playoff brackets? Did you think that the NCAA got it right? Do you think the teams were placed where they should be? And kind of give me your prediction of who do you think will be in the national championship game, so to speak.
That's tough to say. So let's be honest, right? When you're choosing and you're picking a tough thing like that with the bracket, a lot of people aren't going to be happy. You're not going to please everyone. So they're going to do what fits best for them. All right. Now, with that being said, I think it's huge. I think I like it because the way that it's did, and just like we just talked about, right? When you get to play teams from different conferences, when the SEC and the ACC can clash, and you can bring the Big 12, Big 10, like now you can, like I said, like we can all chirp and we can all speak, but when we get on that field within them 4 quarters, at the end of the day, we're going to get answers. We're going to get answers. Who was the better team? Who belongs? Who should have been there? And vice versa. So I love that the game of football will all sell it all out, right? We'll all have our own opinion, but at the end of the day, the game of football is going to make the decision. And I think they'll continue to make, tweaks and changes as they continue to get these playoffs set up into the future. But I think Oregon is a great chance to.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Up there, right? And they're just naturally doing what they're doing. But it's so hard to look. You can't look teams down like the Georgias of the world or the Alabama. You know what I mean? It's just impossible. You just from the history, the winning that they've had and the things they've been able to pull out. But either way, it's going to be a great game. It'll be a great playoff series. I'm excited to watch all the games and see where the chips fall.
Dave, what were your thoughts on the playoff committee and the seeding and the brackets? Do you think they got it close to right, or as close as they could have? And who do you think is going to win? And who do you think could possibly be a surprise that will have a couple upsets and make it to like the semifinals?
I think they did a pretty good job of getting the teams in. Like, I hear, and I guess I'm kind of an underdog guy. I like the underdog. That's kind of how I am.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that like an SMU got in there and some of those teams who played tough in their conference championships and got in, even though they didn't win. I like that Arizona State is in there. I think that's good. It's different teams. Like, I get it. The SEC is the most powerful conference, and the Big Ten is obviously the other really powerful conference. I get it. They should have their share of teams, but it's nice to see different teams in there because I think it makes it more exciting. It makes it a little more like the excitement around you have with basketball,
Madness.
right? March Madness, and I think that that's good. Now, people.
Well, you like boys.
My age bracket, the 50 and older guys, they're over there crying because Alabama didn't get in and all this kind of stuff, because they all want the same teams in there over and over and over again. But I think it's great to have these different teams in here and get an opportunity for it. Who do I think is going?
You love Boise. You're a Boise guy.
I love Boise. I mean, listen, I think Ashton Ginty is phenomenal running back, dude.
Absolutely great running back. I love everything about him as well.
He's phenomenal. So who do I think is going to make the championship? I don't know. I think Oregon and Georgia, like on paper, are probably the two best teams now that Georgia got back their running back. Remember, I said that I thought Georgia wasn't that explosive. Well, they got Travis Etienne. I mean, not Travis Etienne.
Yeah, he made a huge difference.
Trevor Etienne back.
Yeah.
And that was a difference maker, right? You could see that was a difference maker for them.
I can't believe they put Carson Beck in to hand the ball off. I was terrified he was going to drop the snap with his arm hanging off. Like he ran on the field with his arm hanging down.
Yeah.
I don't know how they expected him to take a snap. That's what I was worried about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who would be a sleeper? So who do I think might be a sleeper? I think Boise's a sleeper.
I think Boise. I think SMU will be too.
SMU. Just I'm worried about the SMU's defense.
Yeah.
I think their offense is phenomenal, but can they stop? Like to beat Oregon, to beat Georgia, you do have to stop them. You know what I mean? You got to stop them a little bit in order to give your offense a chance. So I think that's – I don't think Penn State's going to – I mean, I
don't think Penn State.
I think Ohio State, even though everybody's all over Ohio State, I think they have a chance. I mean, they
they're saying Ryan Day's going to get fired if he loses.
No way. Really?
Everyone's hating on Ryan Day because he lost to Michigan. He made the playoffs and he's like 60-12 or something, some crazy record, and he's on the hot seat allegedly, which I think's insane.
I think it's job safe.
Jordan, do you have any sleeper teams that you think may pull a couple upsets and may go on a run?
Surprising people. I don't. When he mentioned Boise, I can agree with him just because I love the running back. I'm a fan, and I just want.
I like Boise too.
Right? But guys like us, great teams, SMU, like you said, the great offense, high power, put points on the board. But I think when you get to at the end of the day, man, I truly think the trenches is what separates the big dogs from the little dogs. Like that's when your quarterback has all the time, opposed to when your quarterback's running for his life. When you're carrying the ball and you can guarantee 3 to 4 yards of carry, opposed to scratching for 1 to 2. It just puts your team in a better situation towards the end of the game. So I'm gonna go with the same thing, man. Those big tugs, those big teams that got those big 6'5", 300-pound offensive linemen with some good feet and enough skilled players on the outside in the backfield, a quarterback to manage. They're gonna do it, man. They're gonna be too tough to beat. Yeah.
You see, my man, for the record, put it up on the big boys. Credited his offensive lineman. He knows.
They're game changers, man. At the end of the day. Yeah.
He knows. I love it. The offensive lineman, we make the world go. Remember that.
I gotta be careful when I give him confidence. I got offensive line talk. I'm just kidding. I love it.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, Jordan. Thank you for doing Husky Huddle with us and giving us a little insight into the North Carolina game. And I hope that you make it up, and I hope that we get you a suite.
Yeah.
and I hope that I get a chance to meet you. I'm definitely going to go. I'm excited for it. We haven't gone to a bowl game in 2 years. Coach Mora really had the guys playing this year. That's the one thing that I credit him for. They never gave up. They always played tough. They always played with grit, and they played to the whistle. They were physical. They hit people. And to have a UConn team like that to represent us, I was proud of that. We didn't have the athletes, but we were always physical, and we always hit hard, and we knocked people around. That's what defines UConn football. Yeah. Dave, do you feel the same?
Well, yeah. I think being physical in the Northeast is a big deal. And I think that we do have the athletes. I just think that the difference between the bigger schools and even Lyman is that they have just more of them. That's it.
Right. Really. It's depth. You're right.
Depth. Right? It's that depth, right? If when you and Andre were in the backfield at the same time, there were two guys, but it's hard. If both you guys were not available, there's going to be a bigger drop off than, let's say, at Georgia, right? At Georgia, the drop off to the second guy. Sometimes at those schools, the third guy is better. You just don't know.
They don't get the reps, right?
Exactly. Derrick Henry was the sub. At Alabama, he was the sub for Ingram, I think, for a while, right? Yeah. So, you don't even, the third guy might actually be better than the starter. He just hasn't gotten in yet,
Well, it was like Darrell Robinson too. Darrell Robinson missed he didn't get as many carries the last couple of games, and they really relied on Cam and Mel Brown, and Cam and Mel Brown took control. And that's what I liked. He stepped out and Cam took charge. Cam ran hard, and Cam really won the UMass game with some big runs. Mel Brown, he did a great job stepping in there. And you got your backup quarterback, Joe Figiano, who played better than Nick Evers. So that's going to be the question mark going into the offseason. And, the transfer portal opens, like you said before. It's going to open beforehand.
It's already opened, I think.
That's why I hope we don't lose anyone. That's my biggest fear is
a transfer portal. Let me just look and see when it open today. Yeah, it's open today.
Yeah, that's my biggest fear is the transfer portal opens. We lose some people, and that is definitely scary. We don't want to lose people. We want to be able to bring people in, and we only brought in 12 freshmen, which is not a lot. So they're banking on the transfer portal. Jordan, what are your overall thoughts on the transfer portal? Do you think it's it's been a good thing, or do you think it's kind of gotten out of control?
It's a very touchy subject.
It is. No, I get it. I get it.
So I totally understand, the transfer portal and, NIL a little bit. I think it could be, policed a little bit better, of course, right? But it's even the playing field. Like if we're just simply talking about the transfer portal, it evens the playing field so that, it'll be tough or it'll take a while before you see that one dominant team that's just currently kicking everybody's butt, right? Because now that guy that was second string has the opportunity to go to this next school and be a starter, right? And then even if, let's be honest, it's happening in this day and era, right? Even if you were the better coach or you were the better recruiter, was your check better than their check? So it's changing that game of the portal. But as far as and I'm being real strategic with my words, it's just the ability to get up and leave and go to the next team, after a couple of months or the next year, after they just, maybe signed you to a great NIL deal, or whether you playing time didn't work out, maybe you, didn't want to, fight for the competition, maybe whatever the reason may be. I think it could be handled, but I think most importantly, the money, the financial aspect of the game, we should be policed, right? We can't be giving these 18-year-old, 19-year-old kids $7 million, $9 million, knowing that one, NFL stands for not for long, and some of those guys, we cannot promise that they're going to be successful in the NFL.
You're absolutely right.
We got the legendary guys like the Tim Tebow's, and great athlete and successful man, got statues made after them, but maybe didn't have a very long NFL career. The Johnny Manziels of the world. We're talking Heisman Trophy winners, people that changed the game, right? And the fact that I thought I would have loved an NIL deal back in 2008 and 2011. I probably wouldn't have complained, but and I'm speaking for myself, but I don't think we had lived that bad as far as if you got So my point is, let's educate them on a way to just use the NIL money. Whether we give them half, whether you get a percentage that sits in an account and it grows.
Be responsible.
Once they graduate, they get access to all of it to do whatever it may be. But it's going to continue to make changes. I think, of course, there's changes to be made, but the portal is instantly changed. It's changed this game forever. It has.
Yeah. I agree with you to an extent. The only thing that worries me is football is a very tough sport. And it's very difficult to play early on. And some of these kids, if they don't play as a freshman or if they don't play as a sophomore, they look to leave instead of developing and honing their craft and getting better and working to get a position on that team. They'll leave. And that's the only thing that bothers me. I'd like to see kids stick it out and stay. Because, if I could go back, there were probably times where I would have wanted to leave and I stuck it out and I didn't. And I think it makes you, when you overcome adversity and you build that mental toughness, that can help you get through anything. And when kids sometimes, I think they jump the gun a little too fast, maybe a little too sensitive and leave when they shouldn't. That is where I see it causing problems. But that's why I wanted to get your thoughts on it, because you just missed it. And it's the wild, wild west, as we say, and we hope it gets policed.
So there's one other thing. Go.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. One more thing about that. See, do we live in an era of social media, right? They talk about the positive stories of the kids who go into the portal and get these offers, but they don't talk about the 10,000, the 30,000, the kids that almost fell in the black hole who jumped into the portal thinking the grass was greener on the other side and they may not never get an opportunity to step on the football field again, right? And we live in a world and a life where adversity is going to come across, right? You might face it at work. It might be a family member. It might be whatever it may be. When things are hard and things get tough, how are we going to handle it, right? And now, if the first instinct is run, you know what I mean? I think that's the generation that we will kind of breed in that case. When things get tough, run to the next place instead of, eventually, like you said, fighting adversity and finding ways to get better and make yourself a better athlete.
And he's right, because there's kids that go into the portal, they don't transfer, and then they have to go back to that team that they tried to transfer from. That's their only home. That's the only place they'll have the opportunity to play. And that's got to be an awkward conversation trying to go back. Yeah. So I can see it from both sides.
Yeah.
David?
No. I think Jordan's point is spot on. I mean, I think that is the situation. That's the reality of what the situation is that they do not want to fight through it. I mean, I know kids that I've worked with directly that you have a conversation with them. They want to jump in the portal. I'm like, well, where are you going to go? Like, it's easy to see the guys on, 24/7 Sports or On 3 that are from Alabama jump in the portal. Alabama, like 6 guys jump into the portal. Of course, they're going to get picked up, right?
Yeah.
But like, I know kids that are at like Division I schools that were they're backups.
Yeah.
Smaller schools, like they're not going to give. Some of them are not going to get picked up. Like,
absolutely,
I don't know why they're even jumping in the portal. Like, they haven't even played yet. They haven't even got on the field. Sometimes these guys are walk-ons, right?
Yeah,
they're not going to get picked up.
If there's any player who's watching this or a parent of a player, before you enter your kid into portal, you got to ask your son this: what are you marketing? What film do you have to showcase that you could play at my school, right? You couldn't play at that last school for whatever reason, whether you weren't good enough, maybe the coach didn't like you, whatever it could have been. Now, what's going to make me, offer you a scholarship? You can't now, if you only have your high school tape to speak for you, which you did 2 years ago, that's not speaking a lot for you, right? It's what have you done for me lately? What have you put on tape in the last 2 years? Now, when we start sending us, practice film, whatever it may be, it's tough, right? It's extremely tough to make somebody pull the trigger on you, right? So I agree.
Yeah, if you're pulling from practice film, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, right. When that's
a great take. That's a great take.
That's what it is too, and that's what's coming down to for some kids. They're thinking, what I think kids don't understand now, and it's because of the portal and the NIL. And yes, it has created opportunities for athletes too. But the issue with it is when they come in, just like Jordan said, they come in there and they're 5th on the depth chart, let's say, they immediately think that the coach is against them, that they've been lied to. No, it's competition. Like,
that's reality.
That's reality.
Yeah.
That's reality. I didn't walk into UConn to starter. Like, no, like it was 6, 7 running backs in front of me. I remember it vividly. I was 180 pounds. I'm soaking wet. I don't weigh it. Like, I get it. They've been in a weight program, college, eating good, lifting good. I don't look like them right now. But you got to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. You got to be honest with yourself.
Absolutely. Well, another banner episode of Husky Huddle as we preview the UConn North Carolina game. And we also looked at the NCAA playoffs for our special guest, Mr. Jordan Todman, who, for the record, I brought on, Dave, just so you know. I want that on the record. I got Jordan Todman on the show, so mark that down. Jordan Todman, former NFL player, now in lovely Florida with a great life, and we're going to try to get him up north for the game. We're going to have to put him in a snowsuit or a suite, but we'll get him there.
I'll be up there.
And Coach Schuman, the next great influencer, We have 1.2 million subscribers on the Coach Schuman Sports and Entertainment YouTube channel. Smash that subscribe button, like our videos, and we are going to the top. We're going to beat everyone. We are one of 2,000. Well, I'm not. Dave is one of 2,000 YouTube channels that has over a million subscribers. So kudos to him. And I'll let you push the end stream button because you can get the graphic.
Okay, I got it.
But I am going to say, for Jordan Todman and Coach Schuman, remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges and go into the transfer portal.
Take care.